This video is brought to you by KEH, the re-commerce camera company. Not only is KEH the oldest and biggest at what they do, buying and selling exclusively used camera gear of all sorts since 1979, but they do it well, with integrity and both a 180-day warranty and 21-day return policy, free shipping on transactions over $49. Which is why, because they make it as futz-free a process as possible, they are our go-to whenever we are looking to fund new purchases by selling our own gear or buying that special used piece of kit properly graded and checked when we want to go quirky or old school. Check them out by clicking on the links in the description below and get 5% off when you buy using the discount code HughShop, a 5% bonus when you sell using the discount code HughBonus. Thank you, KEH. The present changes the past. Looking back, you do not find what you left behind. Kiran Desai. Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and today I want to share with you what happened when I looked back at what is regarded as one of the greatest film cameras of all time, the Nikon F2AS, last of Nikon's fully manual flagship cameras, and in typical Three Blind Men and an Elephant fashion, compared it to Nikon's first generation, much less favorably reviewed at launch, full-frame mirrorless camera, the Z6. Though, first, a big shout out to our friends at KEH for lending us both cameras, along with another wonderful piece of gear, Nikon's AF Nikkor 85 1.4 with FTZ adapter. Second, we do have a couple of seats left in our Streets of New York workshops. If you're interested, hop over to www.3bmep.com/streets21 to learn more. Okay. With the preliminaries out of the way, I'll just cut to the chase, fully cognizant that my take may not be yours, and that's fine because reasonable people can disagree. As magnificent and storied a camera as the F2AS is, as impressive in hand as it is, and as eviscerated by some early reviewers as the Z6 was, as an actual photographic instrument by every practical measure save operation in extreme heat or cold, the original Z6, as is, blows the F2AS out of the water. Out of the water. Which is not to single out the F2AS. I'd say the same thing about, say, Canon's EOS R6 compared to my own F1, or any 20th century camera to the abundance of options we have today. Which is not to say that older cameras cannot, in some ways, be better. They are. It's just that technology moves on, and with it, our expectations and work processes. Nor is it to suggest that it isn't a joy to shoot with the F2AS, any film camera, for that matter, that strikes one's fancy. It's just that the advantages of, well, a sensor over film. No need to buy different film emulsions for different color temperatures, for example. No need to choose between color and black and white. No need to worry about choosing film speed. An EVF over an optical finder, the ability to punch in for critical focus, for example, or the ability to actually see the exposure's results before you press the shutter release. In-body image stabilization over one's own body without it, most especially the ability to shoot with much faster shutter speeds in low light, which, never mind video, once you experience it as a photographer, it is hard to go back. autofocus over manual focus, better speed and hit rate almost all of the time, except when zone focusing, though zone focusing is actually quite constraining, requiring most especially a good amount of light and most often great depth of field. That's how it works. Modern lightweight materials like glass-filled polycarbonate over traditional heavier materials like brass, which make camera bodies and lenses smaller, lighter, and more weather-resistant except when it gets so cold or hot that electronics stop working, and compatibility with the latest state-of-the-art optics simply overwhelm the best of just a decade or two ago. I took the F2AS out with the AF Nikkor 85 1.4 on one strap, the Z6 with Nikkor Z 51.8 on the other. I couldn't put the 50 on the F2AS, but I could and did put the 85 on the Z with adapter. You saw some of the images I captured with them, and both lenses are fabulous. Now, this is a telling fact. I ended up shooting 8 frames with the F2AS, 185 with the Z. I haven't even developed that roll of Tri-X yet because I don't want to waste it, and because actually it would tell you nothing. But Hugh, you may be silently screaming to yourself, doesn't that statistic alone tell you how superior the F2AS is? How much more demanding and therefore rewarding film is? How wasteful digital is? How important it is to give each frame its proper due? Not at all, though I do understand your point. Rather, it confirms what I thought I already knew, but wanted to confirm in the real world because sometimes I just get it wrong. Though, not this time. I thought I'd favor the camera that was basically guaranteed a higher hit rate because I could punch in to confirm the focus the way an optical viewfinder cannot, check depth of field without the screen getting darker the way an SLR cannot, check exposure as the sensor would actually record it the way an SLR cannot without some intervention by a Polaroid back. All of which is to say I could see precisely what the image was going to look like before I took it. I could immediately double-check after the image was shot to confirm it. And I could do it all faster with far less futzing and with far less weight to schlep, ergo's far more comfortable to manipulate. I simply enjoyed the Z more and got more out of it. Much more. I'm not even mentioning the Z's faster burst rates because high-speed continuous shooting is not my particular jam. Finally, I would favor the camera that would allow me to know, absolutely know, that I'd be able to see the images at the end of the day too, the passage of time a critical component to proper evaluation, cull them, and if I so chose, edit the best among them right then and there, ensconced on the couch with my laptop. No reliance on intermediaries like film labs, or alternatively, no time needed to develop the film and at least print contact sheets or scan them myself. No incremental expense either. No chemicals to inhale or dispose of properly. I think that's all pretty f***ing compelling. And, oh, by the way, do you know how many frames Robert Frank shot with his 35mm film camera to get the 83 images which make up his seminal book, The Americans? 28,000. But here's the thing. None of that may matter to you, and those of you who know me, who have watched the channel for a while, know that I grew up with 35mm film. Know that a 35mm Kodachrome slide sparked my interest in photography. That I took apart my first camera before the age of 10. It was a Sears 126 Easy Load. Took apart my second camera by 11. It was my mother's Leica 3A. And to this day, I wonder how it is that she did not get mad at me. I know the joy of mechanical precision. The joy of actually understanding how things work at a fundamental level because I took them apart first. But it's much more than that, isn't it? I had my own darkroom by the age of 12, got my first job in a camera store at 14, ran the photography program of a summer camp in Maine by the time I was 16, all based on 35mm. I know the satisfaction that comes not only from ratcheting an advance lever, but from finishing a roll of film, pressing in the rewind release, feeling the tension as one rewinds the film into the canister, feeling how it gets easier and faster, and then popping open the back of the camera and pulling that roll of Tri-X out. It's like being a Pavlovian dog. I know what it feels like to immerse oneself in the entire film process, the sense of accomplishment, wonder, and mastery, as one navigates correct chemical ratios, temperatures, and times to see an image slowly reveal itself under the red darkroom light in a tray. There is a zen to it. But I'm not 12 anymore. I don't have the luxury of time, though I wish I did. I can no longer spend hours on end alone with my thoughts and my images, free from so much of the noise, distraction, and responsibility that make up modern life and adulthood. Yet, in that fact, I think, lie the seeds of why shooting with film, even today, can be wonderful. Put differently, I think not only shooting, but processing film, and then printing and mounting the print, that is, the whole Megillah, start to finish, is meditation. It's where it's at. It's the only way to fly. In for an inch, in for a mile, if you ask me. Going full silver halide demands that you slow down, take your time, be precise. It commands your attention. You become so immersed in it that time itself loses meaning. In this regard, looking back over many, many years, I'd say it's like body surfing, running or skiing, in that everything else simply disappears, which can be a profoundly restorative thing. And in that context, the F2AS is, even today, magnificent, as is its optical viewfinder, which neither clips the highlights nor crushes the blacks, nor burns out your retinas. Now, some of us may not understand me waxing poetic like this at all. A less charitable way of describing what I've just shared with you might be a dismissive feh. This whole analog thing is nothing more than hype, a pastime which will inherently expand to soak up whatever time you give it. To which the only constructive reply would have to be, I understand. But then, what is golf? Skateboarding? Crossword puzzles? And if one does have the time and derives enjoyment from it, what do you care? Although, okay, I do the New York Times mini crossword puzzles every day just to see if I'm slipping into dementia. Let me wrap it up this way. I suspect that if you are at all like me, if you grew up with film or grew up half a century later beginning your photographic journey with film, you will always have a soft spot in your heart for it. I do. You may have reached a point where you are made whole by what you have, no need for digital whatsoever. I understand. It works for you. You are comfortable with it. It isn't overwhelming or particularly complicated, and you get the results you want the way you want them. Or maybe you're more of a collector, someone who appreciates industrial design, talismans of days past, and or the mere sight and occasional feel of certain cameras after which you've lusted, now made affordable by the inevitable march of technology. I feel you. I've got half a dozen of those kinds of cameras just outside of frame, from Leica to Canon to Hasselblad, and this F2AS, in excellent condition, is a mid-three-figure purchase. But I also suspect that the allure of a 100% digital workflow may be so powerful, so compelling that in the end you will succumb to its charms, a Sam I do like green eggs and ham moment, and willingly endure, yes, the pain of stupefyingly complex and maddening menu systems or the endless array of customizable function buttons of modern mirrorless cameras. Because Desai was right. The present does change the past. Looking back, you don't find what you left behind. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't look back, or that you cannot appreciate the past from a much richer, more experienced vantage point. That's it for now. A big shout out to KEH for sponsoring this video, a great resource for finding just this kind of gear. Check them out by clicking on the links in the description below and get 5% off when you buy using the discount code HUSHOP, a 5% bonus when you sell using the discount code HUBONUS. I have got to get them to change that discount code. If you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, join the conversation below, because this is an incredible audience. If you'd like a copy of our Streets of New York, the book, head over to www.3bmep.com/books. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one video session with me for a portfolio review, explore or hone your artistic voice, select gear, and more, sign up at www.3bmep.com/booking. Finally, consider supporting our work by using our no-cost-to-you affiliate links down below, picking up some official Three Blind Men and an Elephant swag at 3bmep.threadless.com, sending coffee money via PayPal, or best of all, join us as a patron over at Patreon. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it.